Yo, family, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? Family, what's good? What's good? Yo, family, what's good? What's good? What's going on? How y'all doing? We're going to start in 2 minutes. Family, what's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Family, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's going on? Family, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing this evening? What's going on, fam? What's up? What's up? What's going on? Kings and queens, how y'all doing? What's good, fam? What's good? 30 more seconds, we're going to start. Family, what's up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? 20 more seconds, 20 more seconds. We're going to start. In 20 more seconds, we're going to start. Nothing much. Just chilling, fam. Just chilling. 10 more seconds, fam. We're going to start in 10 seconds. 10 seconds, family. We're going to start. We're going to start. 10 seconds. All right. Peace and love, y'all. What's going on, fam? What's going on? And I never made a video about this before, and I think I made one clip about it, but I wanted to go deeper in, right? So let me explain something, right? And I know I've been seeing a lot of people on YouTube talking about discharging child support, getting your kids back from the state, custody battles, and etc. Right? And people have been trying to find so many different loopholes within the system. Number one, many people will say, hey, Taquan, can I file a lien against my children and take my children away from the court? Or Taquan, can I just discharge the debt with the court just to filing documentation, send them in a 1099A? And a lot of times I tell people that when a child is born automatically sovereign, right? So you and the person you had a child with split the child 50-50 ownership, right? It's just like buying land, right? So when the child is born, it's not born with a birth certificate. It's not born with a social security number. It's not born a social security card. It's not born with a state ID. It's not born with a driver's license. It's not born with a vaccination. Those are all the things that the parents sign over for the child to have. Now, you got many people that might have had a child by an individual that don't necessarily agree with their political views. So if you're a person who's sovereign and you have a baby by a person who's not sovereign, or who don't even understand the principles of sovereignty, or who don't even care to hear the principles of sovereignty, now you have an unbalanced or unequally yoked, tribunal, right? So you got one person believing this, the other person believing that, right? So I want you guys to understand, it does not matter which parent decides to file the court paperwork to send the child or try to go through the courts for a custody battle or anything like that, right? All it takes is one parent to do something that can be detrimental to the child or something that can be beneficial to the child, right? So if you get in a dispute with the child, like with your children's mother, right, and she want to take you to child support court, right, that's something you have to deal with the child, because now you're taking a private child into the public anytime two adults cannot come to an agreement. And that's why I tell a lot of people that the people you make children with in the family that you plan on having, or whatever the case might be, you want to make sure that they have some of the same beliefs as you. It don't have to be 100%, but some of the same beliefs. Because remember, by you guys having full ownership over the child, you have to understand conflict resolution. You need to figure out how can you resolve any matters without taking the child to the public. Because as far as the courts know, both of you guys have custody, right? So let's just say, let me explain this. Two people who understand and can take, good conflict resolution, like they can handle it, they don't have no issues with it. The father could take the child out the country. But if you dealing with custody battles, then they're charged with kidnapping, because now when you brought the kids to the public, they gave the mother full custody and gave you part-time parenting, right? So if you take the child to Mexico, now you will be charged with kidnapping. And I had a student that was charged with kidnapping their own children, right? But I told her, I say, this is your fault, because when you have a child by this individual and they don't believe what you believe in, right? You get what I'm saying? So if they don't believe in what you believe in, 9 times out of 10, when y'all take a private citizens to the public, now that person, that child, have to be disputed through the courts system, right? So I say this to say that, I say this to explain it like this, right? Anytime you have a child by somebody, right, both of you guys have 50-50 custody, right? Now, the moment you guys cannot come up with an agreement to pay anything or balance out anything, now you take this private child to the public. And so for many of you guys who's sovereign and trying to operate in this movement, you want to make sure whoever you have a kids with in the future, whoever you deal with in the future, you have to make sure that they on board with the same principles. There's so many students that call me and say, hey, man, how can I go through the courts? I'm going to tell y'all something. They always tell me how to go through the courts, how to go through the system, how to go through this. And I say, the easiest way you can get this whole thing resolved is talk to the person that you had kids with who filed the notice in the first place. Because it's them who filed the notice. It's them who took something private to the public. It is them who want others and other institutions and everything like that into y'all business. So you have to find out a resolution with them. If not, the child is going to be a ward of the state. Because if two parents can agree and two parents is dealing with each other violently, now you put the children in the jeopardy of CPS coming. Now CPS investigating the children. They investigating the parents. Now CPS take the children away. All of this stuff happened is because two adults cannot have good conflict resolution, right? And by me saying this is the exact reason why so many children come up missing or whatever the case might be, get lost in the system. And then you got fathers or mothers who both pay child support, racking the state up billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, because we don't know how to deal with each other, with the people we have kids with. So remember, you want to have your kids private. You want to keep your kids out of the public. You want to keep your kids out of these public courts. You want to keep your kids outside of these public hospitals getting vaccinated or whatever the case might be. And also, I truly advise a lot of you guys to put your kids in private school. Not private school, but, take care of your kids at home, whether they do homeschooling or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So that's fully keeping your kids in the private without contracting with the state, without dealing with the state, without dealing with the government, without dealing with the court system. Two people come together with that, you don't have no issue. But the moment you decide, it could be any person. The father can bring the child into the public. The mother can bring the child into the public. So people come to me all the time and I say, hey, you want to figure out a resolution with the person you had kids with, because the courts, yes, there's many remedies to prove that you take care of a child. But why go through that if you could just figure it out with that person? If not, you pretty much just had a ward of the state baby. That's what it really breaks down to. Because if you can't find out a resolution with them, you had a ward of the state baby. You get what I'm saying, fam? So you got to be very mindful of that. It's not about getting out of child support, right? This really about a resolution, because even the child support system is a scam, right? Because it's not necessarily just to help the mothers, but it's also helping not helping the government, helping the court system and everything like that. This is one of the biggest financial schemes that is enacted in every state when people are dealing with child support custody battles, because custody battles is almost like the child being rented by one parent and partially owned by the other parent, and the state get a piece of that percentage of ownership of that child. So the state gets to tell your child that you made where the child can go because two parents can't think like adults and come to a good resolution. You get what I'm saying, family? So remember, every child is sovereign. No, like the moment you have your baby, they're not contracted with the state. So when police search them up in the Secretary of State system, when they search them up through the Social Security Administration, clear, no records found, right? But it's you who contract the child to the state. You get a a birth certificate. You get a social security number. You get a state ID. You get a driver's license for the child. You put the child in public school. That's a public citizen. So all of its constitutional rights go down the drain. All of its unalienable rights go down the drain. Everything go down the drain the moment you contract the child into the state, and also when two people decide to bring a private child into the public. So even if you follow the philosophy, right? Let's just say if you go ahead and say, I'm a sovereign, my child is a sovereign, my child didn't get a social security number. If the other parent disagree with that, they can just easily fill out a form to the Social Security Administration and have them issue a social. And now your child got a social and there's nothing you can say about it. Your child have a social now because one parent agreed that the child need a social. That's why you gotta have somebody that think the same way as you. Because if they do that, then what else they'll do? Then if you guys ever come to a disagreement, and let's just say if the child didn't have a social, and you guys take the children to the court, right? And you trying to do a custody battle, CPS get into y'all business and find out this child was never issued a social security number. Now the courts is going to say, who decision was it to not give the child a social? They'll say it was the father decision, whoever decision it was, right? And then if it's the father decision, they're going to say they automatically going to grant custody to the mother, the person, whoever trying to contract the child into the state. That's foreign to them. Getting out of contracts with the state is foreign to the state. Doing anything outside of the state is foreign to the state. That's why the state only understands things that it aligns with. They align everything with contracts. They align with the driver's license. They align with the state ID. They align with the fictitious District of Columbia address. They are aligned with all of these things. And that's why we have to understand one thing, that since it's private, since the baby is private and you operating private, you need to be living in a private with your child. You need to be operating in a private with your child. You do not need to put your child to the public. The moment you put your child to the public, it's over with. It is 100% over with. And I really want to get that off my chest because so many people come to me and try to figure out loopholes around child support, and I say, you better off talking to the person you had kids with, because people on child support 18 years. Does the state need 18 years to prove that you can pay your child support? No. But since two people can't agree, hey, the state will come in, they'll take a percentage of that. That's just like almost hiring the state is being the third parent, because the state operate and act like the third parent. The same way in divorce courts. The state, we asking the state to be the mediator, the person in the middle of all of our marital advice, right? Whether you're dealing with common, like these marriages and everything like that, marriage license, we pretty much telling the state that you're going to be the trustee, you're going to be in control of all of our affairs. And if we ever come to a day that we decide to divorce, it is the state decision on how the funds should be allocated. That's what happened when you go from private to public, private to public. People do it all the time, and you can't keep making that mistake, especially for those who really trying to operate in the private. You cannot be making that mistake. Child support is to 21 now, see? So you in slavery for 21 years. And I'm going to tell you something about child support, right? It's so bad, even if you go 20 years without paying child support, it's still going to be on your name. It's still going to be under that ID. It's still going to be under that government issue contract. It's still going to be under that. It's still going to be under that government issue contract. So you still have child support. Child support did not go away. It stay under that contract for the rest of your life. Warrants get issued under that contract. Your license gets suspended because you got that contract with the court. That's why you never want to contract with these people, fam. It's not over with. Just learn how to reverse the contract. The contract, when dealing with child support, the moment y'all had the baby, it's a 50-50 split. So whatever one person decides to do, even if they don't agree with one person and they still decide to do it, they automatically jeopardize the whole puzzle. All it takes is one person to mess up the whole thing. One person. One person can say, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying, and go get the child vaccinated. One other person can not agree with that person saying, go take the child to custody court to battle against you. Two people who had a child now asking the third party, what should we do with this baby? And if y'all can't figure out a resolution, CPS take the baby and say, we're going to take it until you guys can decide what you want to do. Then the baby going to the states, awarded to the state. They're going to make sure that the baby get vaccinated. They're going to make sure that the baby get a social security number, social security card. They're going to make sure that the baby get a birth certificate. You don't have a private baby no more. Your baby is in the public. Your baby is not private anymore. Your baby is not sovereign anymore. Your baby does not have unalienable rights anymore. It's gone. It's over with. Just think about it, fam. Just think about it just like that. You got your child support terminated and she went at it. She went again. Yep. That's how it be. Everything is illegal. Child support is a private agreement between parties. No one making a claim needs to prove it, not the one responding to the claim. Either or, none of you guys should be taking y'all private matters into the public. Everything needs to be private. That's like this. I'm gonna explain something. You see parents, right? If you ever was in a fight, if you let's just say you and your brother was inside the house, y'all 15 years old, and both of y'all decide to fight each other. Do y'all parents call the police to tell them to make y'all stop fighting? Or do the father come in and break the children up? So y'all find resolutions within your own home, right? So y'all don't have to involve the system, right? So that's the same thing with dealing with a child. You have a child and you don't know what to do exactly as far as coming to agreement. So you guys decided that going to the government, going to the court system is the best way to do it. And that's the wrong way to do it. That's the wrong way to do it. That is the wrong way to do it, fam. The birth certificate is the first contract. I'm gonna argue that, right? I'm gonna argue with that, right? A lot of people say the birth certificate is the contract. False. That's one of the false statements I ever heard in my life. Because let me explain to you guys, right? Anytime you're dealing with any prosecution, any criminal prosecution, any criminal citation, any warrants being issued, there's never been a warrant that was issued under a birth certificate. Warrants are only under the social security number and the state ID and driver's license. Anytime officers are looking for you through the database, they look through the state contracts, right? They look through state ID, state driver's license, and see if there's any warrants under a driver's license or ID number. It never has anything to do with you just having a let me explain. It has nothing to do with you just having a birth certificate, because there's never been a time where police have searched and looked under the birth certificate. Birth certificate is just a recorded documentation that you've been born, right? Now, some people might say it got securities and everything like that. Okay, you can include that. But as far as gaining jurisdiction over you, it is the social security number that that's the reason why the courts can assert jurisdiction over you. It is the state contracts that's the reason why the state can gain jurisdiction over you. Because even if you had no documentation, you gave a police officer a birth certificate, they would ask you still for your social. If you gave them your social, they wouldn't even ask you for your birth certificate because they'll take you right in. That's proof that they have jurisdiction. So remember, the birth certificate is not the contract. It's the social security number. The social security number is tied with the Social Security Administration, and the Social Security Administration is tied into Washington, D.C. That is automatic proof that you are a United States federal citizen. Your federal citizenship starts when you get a social security number, not when you get a birth certificate, because what? The birth certificate is a state instrument. It's not even a federal instrument. The social security number is a federal instrument because it only comes from the Social Security Administration. That's the federal side, right? Has nothing to do with the state. The birth certificate is issued within the state. It's not the federal. You get what I'm saying? So you got federal and you got state. The moment you get that social security number, you are a federal United States citizen. Now, I know we do other loopholes like cancel contracts with the state and everything like that. And we try to be sovereign, right, to our best of our abilities. But the problem is, even though you are trying, the presumption sits very hard on us due to the fact that those contracts are something you cannot cancel. You cannot go back and cancel a Social Security card. You cannot exit out or zero out a Social Security card. People have been trying this method. People have been trying to close it out. The moment you are issued a Social Security number, the Social Security Administration give you 30 days to cancel it. Cancel it. If you do not cancel your Social Security number within 30 days, then that number is a lifetime number. Our children, right, don't have Social Security numbers. They do not have Social Security numbers. And when we apply for them a passport, there's a section, there's a PDF that you can go on the Department of State website. It's a children under 16 who have not been issued a Social Security number, and the parents sign it that their child has never received a social. And there's also another PDF form for adults 17 and older who don't have a Social Security number. And you sign that as well. You can attach their birth certificate with it, with the passport application, and that's how we was able to get our children birth certificates. Since they don't have socials, they still was able to get a birth certificate. I mean, not birth certificate. I mean, a passport, because all you need is a birth certificate to get a passport. You really can get the DS-10, but they're gonna give you a lot of hassle. But you can get the birth certificate with the passport application, and that's when you can go ahead and apply for the passport. So our kids do have IDs, so they can have those IDs, but those IDs not connected to the state. They have no federal contracts with the federal government, and that's how you want it to be. He said, if you are born in America, you are a United States citizen. False. Because this is what people got to understand. You got American and you got United States citizen. The reason why they keep mixing up the United States of America with the United States, because they think everybody lives inside of DC. Because understand this, read United States Code section 28, United States Code 3002, subsection 15A. The United States is a federal corporation inside the 10 square mile radius of DC. That's the United States we're referring to. And the presumption and the proof that you are a United States citizen is not because you live in America. Live in America. Native Americans live in America. They're not U.S. citizens. American Samoa, they live in one of the United States possessions. Those are federal United States citizens. Like when you're dealing with Samoa and everything like that, a lot of them are United States nationals, but they also naturalized citizens as well. And by being a naturalized citizen or being a born citizen, you got to be born here, but you also got to take on the benefits and the privileges of a United States citizen, which would be the Social Security number. Because if you didn't have a Social Security number, there's no evidence or proof that you're a U.S. citizen. Now, people might say, oh, what if you was born here? You are an American. Citizenship is solely by virtue. That means you have to agree that you are a citizen, right? But the proof that you are a citizen is the social, because the social is forever with you. People not understanding. You think the Social Security number is just a tax number? What 1 year old is filing taxes? What 2 month year old is filing taxes? Right? If that was the case, if it was a tax number, you should say we require everybody to get Social Security numbers after 18, but that's not the case. It has nothing to do with just being a tax number. This number has everything to do with your proof and evidence of citizenship, and is also a number that can tie you in. So anytime they're doing a FOIA check or whatever the case might be, that when they check criminal backgrounds or they check you in public records, and they want that Social Security number, because that Social Security number is linked up to a lot of things. It's linked up to your driver's license. It's linked up to your warrants. It's linked to your state ID. It's linked up to everything. So your whole entire identity is under that social. They don't even need the driver's license. They don't even need the state ID. They don't even need any of that. The moment they get that social, that you locked in for life. There's no getting out of it. And so the presumption, like I said again, is the Social Security number. There's never been a time a person got arrested and the officer say, what is your birth certificate filing number? There's never been a time where a person got arrested, they say, show me a copy of your birth certificate. There's never been a time of an indictment where a person was indicted for a crime, and when a person looked through the information that the prosecution put on the docket or got as far as their records that it showed the birth certificate number. It only showed the social security number. I got arrested one time and I seen my own social security number through processing. And I said, what? They didn't even have my birth certificate number because there's no proof that you're a United States citizen just with the birth certificate, because the state is the state. So if you was born in Florida, that's who you're from. You're a state citizen, which refers to being a state citizen of the Union. And then you are American by virtue because you're from the United States of America. We're not disputing that we are United States citizens for America, but you also got federal U.S. citizenship, because you got to think D.C. took over America, right? And they privately separated the principles of the United States of America, and they solely entered into a foreign jurisdiction under legislation. And when they implement this system throughout America, many of us been deceived and confused and manipulated into a private contract and a private agreement outside of our natural born rights. So anytime when the state issue contracts and everything like that, you got to think you got the state before the Reconstruction Act, and you also got the state after the Reconstruction Act. So the states are incorporated, and also DC, the United States is incorporated. So you got United States and you got the states, right, after the Reconstruction Act, and these are the states that's incorporated. So anytime you see someone getting charged for a crime, let's just say if they're in California, the state of California versus this person, but they're not referring to the actual land and soil. They're talking about the state when it got incorporated. Because remember, you got the times where the state entered the Union, and you also got the Reconstruction Act after, when the states got incorporated by the United States DC, because DC law still is through the states. And that's how it confused us entirely. So the term state citizen is not in no public library. It's not in no history book. It's not taught in political science. It's not even nowhere in the government history where you can really just find it. Just going on Google, and you can say, or you would never see an option where it says state citizen. The only options is United States citizen. That's why most applications, most government applications that you see, when they actually they always put United States. They never put United States of America. They always put United States, United States, United States. Even the federal district courts that you guys see, they incorporated the name United States of America. So when we go into the district court, we thinking that this court is dealing with the actual country, the United States of America, right? But no, the district court is a federal court of DC, has nothing to do with the actual country. So all of us been blindsided and enter a private contract into a foreign jurisdiction. That's why we enter into a jurisdiction of legislation. So this is a legislative jurisdiction. This has nothing to do with us. This is a whole maritime, a whole foreign jurisdiction of commerce. So we're not even dealing with the traditional law system. We're not dealing with the actual jail system. So the moment the United States of America went away, right, DC was able to implement the plans throughout the whole entire country. That's why the United States of America doesn't have a jail. When was the last time we had a jail, right? When was the last time the United States of America had a jail, right? So now you look at today, you look at all these prisons, they say, dang, these prisons are a part of the country. No, these are debtor prisons. You ever heard that saying, pay your debt to society? When they say pay your debt to society, they literally mean pay your debt, right? Because you have committed a crime in equity. And now you are paying with your body as surety to cover the debt for the United States. You get what I'm saying? So you paying a debt to the federal United States, which has nothing to do with the country. Because most laws that's in every state are all equitable crimes. So this is what common law breaks in, right? Because let me break down common law to you, right? Common law is the common things, right? Is everything in nature. Let's just break it down simple. Common law deal with everything in nature that's common law, right? So I'm gonna give you guys an example. Let's just say in 1800, let's just say 1850. If a man was walking down the street with a shotgun on his back, would the police pull him over, search him, and throw him inside the car? No. Why? Because you have the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, right? Now, if a man went and killed another man, what would happen? The sheriffs would come to his door, accuse him of a crime, and they will have a witness with them, right? And then they will send him to a fair trial, and they will prosecute him for the case because now you have hurted someone. There's never been a crime without an injured party prior to 1933. So you never seen a person was arrested without having a driver's license. Look when driver's license was implemented in 1925, but the federal corporation was implemented in 1967, right? So, like I say, most crimes today are equitable offenses. These are crimes that's outside of an injured party and outside of a witness. So people might say, okay, if what you're saying is true, how is it that they can do this, right? So when you're dealing with the Commerce Clause, this is a separate law outside of our normal United States laws. You get what I'm saying? So anytime you're dealing with a federal citizenship, remember, jurisdiction is done by agreement, and also it's also the presumption that you are you are contracted with the state. It's also a presumption that they have contracts with you, and you also agree with the jurisdiction. So when courts come to you and they say, hey, do you agree that you know that you've been charged with this crime? And you say, okay, what's the crime? You've been charged with driving fast on the highway, right? And you go to court and say, yes, I do agree. I agree. They say, okay, now we can proceed. Now, people might say, if this equity, why are people going to jail? Well, when you're dealing with a surety in your body of surety, it is way more convenient for them because the federal government pays the state to house inmates. Because the state get paid by housing inmates because they are arresting people on behalf of DC. So when I was locked up, I figured out about all of this. So DC, when I was in county jail, DC paid the Cook County for each inmate $400 a day. So $400 a day is what the state and the county get paid for housing the inmate each day. So 100 days, that's $40,000. So 300 days, that's $120,000, right? Okay, so if you got $120,000, let's just say 10 years later, they probably make 1.4, 1.5 million, right? So if they're making 1.5 million in 10 years, you can just imagine how many inmates in there that they just want to house to collect that federal funding. So everything is done in equity now. So all of these equitable crimes, everything like driving on suspended license, these are equitable crimes because it doesn't contain the injured party. Show me any law that was what was considered a crime prior to 1850. Show me any law that was a crime prior to 1850. You couldn't find driving too fast. You couldn't find DUI was not a crime. You could not find carrying a pistol without a license. Even the federal law that they passed that bans convicted felons of firearms offenses. You can literally got out of jail and literally had a gun on you and walk clean away from the prison. Where'd that go? What happened to that? Because now the United States took over. So DC is the new government. DC is operating law. DC is doing this. So like I say, the United States of America has been swallowed up. But I'm just giving you guys this consciousness to understand that since DC is taking over, most people just under a big illusion. That's why you have these videos that talk about sovereigns. They say, oh, this sovereign citizen, he's breaking the law. When have something in equity ever been considered a law? It's never been a law. It's legal. That's why you got legal and you got lawful. Because legal is better than lawful in the sense of them, right? Because you dealing with legal, that's dealing with a commerce, like a commerce law. I mean, commerce like wording, right? And you got lawful, right? Lawful would be like paying in gold and silver, but legal is just tender of payment. So tender of payment versus actual gold and silver, the fiat currency and the currency system is totally different. Same way with the law system. So we're not dealing with law, we're dealing with legal. So that's why you have attorneys at law, right? But these are legal attorneys and they members of the Bar Association. So these people not even dealing with strictly constitutional rights and constitutional law. These people dealing with a foreign jurisdiction and they dealing strictly with procedures. And these people dealing with the color of law, they on that side. They're not on the right side when dealing with common law things. Said, did most laws apply to DC in the beginning? So in the beginning, no law applied to DC. DC really didn't have an edge way before DC was even really established. So even after DC was established, you still had common law because remember, they didn't fully take over the country because everything, all the monetary system was gold and silver. So every dollar that was spent was backed by gold. Every quarter that was spent was backed by gold. What is backing the dollar now? Faith and trust. So now you're dealing with credit because you're not exchanging the money for gold anymore. You're only exchanging it for trust, which will be credit. Now that changed the totality of the fiat currency. That changed everything. Jails are mainly private owned by judges and higher ups. Correct, correct. So is it the constitutional law than the U.S. federal law? Of course it is. But go to court and bring up the Constitution, and the judge automatically push it down. And you like, if we supposed to uphold the United States Constitution, why are you debating if it's legit or not? Because most judges are not really aligned when it comes to the principles of the United States Constitution. That's why you have more liberal judges today than you did at any time. So these liberal judges is going by the statutes, going by the codes and the regulations, because we in the commerce system, fam. We're the administrative court. But I'm gonna tell you guys something, right? I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna be real. Um, you need to learn procedure. You really need to learn procedure because if you don't learn procedure, when you go inside these administrative courts, you're not gonna know how to properly address the case. So anytime you find a court a crime in equity, you have to look at the statute that support your claim because as many statutes that deals with jurisdiction, as many statutes that's dealing with the presumption of jurisdiction, but you have to address it correctly. Because if you don't address it correctly, if the case law is not properly cited, if you're not, you know, very articulate your words correctly, then they're gonna pretty much push your arguments back. That's why you want to make sure that you actually know what you're saying. You actually understand procedures. You understand what's going on. He said, Yusufel knows procedures. Yes, he do. We're supposed to be a republic. Ain't no republic no more. This game is deep. Many things to learn. Yes, sir. I love to see you. Peace and love, fam. What do you think about the revocation of election? You know, these are United States presidents. These don't got nothing to do with the United States of America. So it's the constitutional law, then the federal law. It's over with. There's no more United States Constitution, really. Barely any United States Constitution. They purposely misinterpret that. Now you have an open beer container in your car and they say it's contraband, so the police got the right to search your vehicles. How can I reach you? 224-463-1848. You get told that when we in jail. The sergeants will tell you that, the COs will tell you that, and it's public record, so you can search it up and you can find out how much do your county pay, how much do Washington D.C. pay, how much do the federal government pays inmates to be housed in your county and your state. Every state different. So you might live in a smaller county and it have smaller, a smaller population of inmates, and they might cover, let's just say, $200 a day instead of 400. So Cook County is in Chicago, so that's a big county, that's a big city, that's a big economy. So they're gonna put more money on it. Yeah, fam. So I'm out. Peace and love, everybody. I'm glad I was able to share this with you guys. Remember, your child is sovereign until you or the mother contract the child over to the state. Peace and love, everybody. Enjoy this evening. If y'all want to contact me, don't hesitate. My phone number is 224-463-1848. Again, my phone number is 224-463-1848. One more time, it is 224-463-1848. Peace and love, fam. I'm out. Good night.